Chinese President Xi Jinping has also met with Vietnam's leader To Lam, the pair holding talks at Beijing's Great Hall of the People. The two leaders attended a signing ceremony of several cooperation agreements, and Mr. Lam has said that deepening ties with Beijing is a strategic choice and top priority. China remains Vietnam's largest trading partner. Last week, Mr. Xi sent a congratulatory message to Mr. Lam for being elected as president, offering to continue strengthening their socialist causes. Mr. Lam chose China for his first official overseas visit as both head of state and chief of the country's Communist Party. CNA senior correspondent Leong Wai Kit explains how this trip fits into Vietnam's broader position on the global stage.
Vietnam's President To Lam may have chosen China for his first trip as head of state, just as he did in 2024 after becoming party chief. But that alone does not signal Vietnam's alignment with any single country. One Vietnam-China watcher points out that traditionally, newly elected leaders in Vietnam often choose China as their first overseas visit. Another Vietnam expert notes it's firmly in Hanoi's interest to balance superpower rivalry in what's known as its bamboo diplomacy.
Vietnam has been trying hard to maintain such a balance. Normally, whenever a Vietnamese leader pays a visit to either US or China, they will send someone else or another delegation to the other power to show that they are trying to maintain a balance. In the case of Mr. To Lam's visit to China, we should take into consideration the fact that before he was elected head of state by the National Assembly, he paid a visit to the US in February to participate in the inaugural meeting of the border peace and paid a working visit to the US.
Beyond reaffirming ties with China, Vietnam is also seeking to boost economic opportunities. Among them, seeking energy cooperation, supply chain management and infrastructure development. While Mr. Lam is expected to maintain this careful balance, his role as head of state also requires him to navigate ongoing tensions with major partners. With the United States, there's continued uncertainty, including the risk of tariffs. And with China, the South China Sea dispute remains a persistent sticking point.
Vietnam's strategy has always been to isolate the South China Sea disputes from overall relationship and to focus on political and economic cooperation.
Other analysts say Vietnam has demonstrated its ability to compartmentalize conflict and diplomacy and is likely to stand firm on issues of national importance. When it comes to China, one observer says Hanoi's ties with Beijing will continue to be driven largely by economic cooperation, a key priority for Vietnam as it targets the ambitious annual growth of around 10% and aims to achieve high income status by 2045. Leong Wai Kit, CNA.